We're going to take a look at dimensional analysis in this video, which is basically converting units. With this one, you should have all the pages of your foldable cut out, and I just went ahead and stapled them together so it looks like a little file folder. The way that I stapled them in your packet is the way that you should put them together after you cut them out. So you should have, the first tab should say two-step conversions, multi-step conversions, and then you should have one page after that. All right, so if we go ahead and we open up to the first page on the back here, dimensional analysis is basically when we convert one measure or rate to an equivalent measure or rate. So it's when we convert one measure or rate to an equivalent measure or rate with different units by multiplying by one or more conversion factors. So we want to first determine what units we are given, and then determine what units you need in the end. And then basically you want to determine your conversion factors that you're going to need along the way, and then you're going to align your conversion factors so that they reduce or cancel. And this is definitely something that you've done in math class and also in science classes. So the next one would be use your calculator to determine your final answer if needed. Okay, you may be able to do some of the elimination or whatever in your head, but you do have your calculator available if you need, and make sure that you check your answer for the correct units. All right, so let's take a look at an example. Our first example, we're given 40 yards per minute, and we want to change that into feet per second. So here's what I know. I know that I'm starting out with 40 yards in 1 minute. And I know that I need to get to feet per second. So my final answer has to equal feet per second. All right, so to get there, the first thing that I know is that I have 60 seconds in 1 minute. And since I have 1 minute down here, I'm going to multiply this by 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. And now I also need to be able to change yards into feet. So I know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. And so now what happens here is I can go ahead and I can cancel out my minutes. I still have my yards. And I can change things to feet per second. So let's see how this works here. I can go ahead and I can cancel out the yards. I can cancel out the minutes. All right, and now the only units that I'm left with are feet per second. So now if I go through and I multiply, 40 times 3 is going to give me 120. Feet. And then on the bottom I have 1 times 60 times 1, which would be 60 seconds. All right, but I have 120 feet in 60 seconds. I can reduce both of those. I can take a 60 out of both, and so that would be 2 feet in 1 second. And so my final answer here would be 2 feet in 1 second. Now another thing that we could have done is way back up here in the beginning, we could have canceled out the 40 and the 60 and reduced it that way. And then the 3 and the 60. We could have actually reduced our numbers in the first line, if that would have helped. But for me, a lot of times I like to get rid of my units and then group up all my numbers, pull them together, and then see if I can reduce that fraction. It just works a little bit easier for me. Okay, so the next one, this one we have $8 per pound, and we want to convert that to cents per ounce. So here's what we have. We have $8 for 1 pound. I'm just going to make that look more like a 1. And then I know that there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So actually I want to put pounds up here because I need those units to cancel. And then that would be 16 ounces. All right, remember that your units have to cancel. You can only cancel if the units are one on the bottom, one on the top. All right, and then I also know that there's 100 cents in $1. So if I have dollars up here, I need to put dollars down here. That's $1. And there are 100 cents. Okay, so now if I look at that, my pounds are going to cross out, my dollars are going to cross out, and I'm going to be left with cents per ounce. Okay, so with this one, I can cross out my pounds, I can cross out the dollars, and so now what I'm left with is 8 times 100 cents, so that's 800 cents for 16 ounces. Okay, now I want to see if I can reduce that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see if I can divide 800 by 16, and I end up getting 50 cents for every 1 ounce. All right, on the next page. Okay, on the next page, we're going to take a look at example 4 up here. So this time we have 4 tons and we want to turn that into grams. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and write down our 4 tons. And then I need to know, or I want to try to convert that to grams. So here's what I know. I know that there are 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. So there are 2,000 pounds in 1 ton. All right, so now that kind of gets me into pounds. I know that there's 16 ounces in a pound. So there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. And my goal, remember, is to get 2 grams. All right, so this is one that we may have to look up, but there are 28.35 grams in 1 ounce. So now if I look at my units, I can get rid of tons, I can get rid of pounds, I can get rid of ounces, and now what I'm left with on the top is 4 times 2,000 times 16 times 28.35 grams, and all of my units on the bottom are gone. They all cancel out, so I have 1 times 1 times 1. So now this is just a multiplication problem, and when I multiply all of that stuff together, I get 3,628,800 grams. All right, so I did leave 2 for you, so what I'd like you to do is see if you can read through the word problem there in number 3 and see if you can convert that. And then the last one is converting dollars per kilogram to cents per ounce. Okay, let's just see how far you can get with those. Remember, if you're not sure about some of your conversions, you can look up the conversions, but what I don't want you to do is just Google the answer. Remember, it's not about the answer, it's about the process. Can you figure out how to get there? All right, so that's it for today.